It's funny that we're talking about $73 million, Craig, now being mid-range. What did you make of it?
It is. And Chelsea need to freshen up and they need to go younger in their signings, and they have. And look, I'll get to the point with this one. Personally, I think he's an excellent player.
Yeah.
An excellent player, lots of talent. But he's not playing at Dortmund at the moment for a reason, and that's because Lucien Favre, and they're top of the league, has better options than Brune Larsen, in his opinion. And Jadon Sancho, who's been excellent and has made his England debut. But the one thing I would say about this is you have to make the right move, and it has to work for you. Looking at this move to Chelsea, it's a great move from a big club, a great club, to another great club, but it comes with risk. When we look at some of the players Chelsea have signed in recent years, some big names who have struggled to go in there and make the mark, it's quite daunting. You know, Bakayoko being the recent one, Batshuayi for huge money. Cuadrado was more experienced. You got Zuma, you got Mo Salah who went in there as a 21-year-old. Then you got Schurrle, then you got one of the best players in the world in Kevin De Bruyne, and of course Romelu Lukaku, who had to go out on loan and is now plying his trade at Man United. But whether you blame Mourinho or anybody else for this, all these guys went into Chelsea and they struggled. They struggled to get game time, and you know, they had to move on somewhere else to get it. And the point being is that what he's not getting at the moment is minutes on the field. And whilst he's got time on his side, he really has to gain experience, and he's not going to get that sitting on the bench. I'm not saying he will, but he might, and it has happened to better players than Christian Pulisic, and he's got to hope for his sake that whoever's managing that football club really likes him, and he's going to get game time.
Because it's not necessarily going to be Sarri, as you pointed out.
Well, that's the other point. Lots of people are saying, well, you know, Maurizio Sarri, Christian Pulisic will suit the way Sarri plays. That's understandable, but one of the other things we looked at was the Chelsea model for how their management structure is, and Chelsea model the structure on Real Madrid, because what they do is, if they have no success, they chop and change the manager. Now, that has been very successful for them, but that means as a player, when you go to a club like Chelsea, you don't know in 12 months, 18 months or 2 years who's going to be managing that football club, because Roman Abramovich does not see the top four, like some clubs, as success. If you don't win trophies at Stamford Bridge, you're out.
I personally think Maurizio Sarri will be there at least through next season. So,
he will be, yes.
So for me, that's where Pulisic and his immediate future lies. I think it's good business by Chelsea. By Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund. If you're Chelsea, you don't want it to last this summer. Speculation around Pulisic and Arsenal, Manchester United. Do you wait till the summer and there be a bidding war? You don't want that if you're Chelsea Football Club. For Borussia Dortmund, you do want to wait till the summer. You know that can bump the price up, hence the rather hefty relative high price tag in January. So that makes perfect sense, and Borussia Dortmund get to keep hold of the player. Now, right now, I don't see Pulisic getting into this Chelsea team. But you look at the players who are ahead of him. Willian is 30 years old. Pedro is 31. N'Golo Kante, who plays a lot deeper than Pulisic naturally does. Speculation around his future, despite him signing a contract earlier, just a few months ago. So it makes sense, and it ticks a lot of boxes for Chelsea. Now, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I think because of his age, you get your money back if you do invest now, which, despite the failures that they've had, they've always been able to get their money back.
Before we go to Mark, just quickly, I agree. I think it's good business for Chelsea. It's a lot of money. I think it's great business for Dortmund, particularly as they keep him to the end of the season. And he will get game time, probably off the bench, but they're going for a Bundesliga title. So it works all round. I'm only pointing out that you know, going to West London, going to a club that strives for success, that only deals with winning trophies, whether it be in Europe or domestically, is that it has its pitfalls. It has its pitfalls, and you've got to be very, very careful, in Christian Pulisic's terms, that he's making the right move, which he thinks he is, and it's going to further his career. And for some players that we put on the graphic, it was a problem for them.
Mark, it's very hard not to tie this move from Chelsea to the future of Eden Hazard, isn't it? What does it say to you? Does it mean Hazard is gone and Pulisic is the potential replacement?
Well, I mean, they play on different sides of the pitch, but I do think that Hazard's future is the big question at Chelsea. And the thing is with Hazard, he's made it pretty clear that he wants to play in Spain. He wants to go to La Liga. Real Madrid is his dream scenario, but Real haven't made any contact yet. So if Real don't make any contact, where does he go? He's 28 on Monday. So he's getting to the point in his career where his next move is this crucial move. And if Real don't come calling, what are the options for Eden Hazard? He might have to stay at Chelsea. And if he does stay at Chelsea, then Pulisic and Hazard together is a great combination going forward. But it all depends on Hazard. I think if Chelsea miss out on the Champions League, which I do think they will this season, I think either United or Arsenal catch them, then there's no way that Eden Hazard will stay for another year at Chelsea in the Europa League. He'll find a move, but I do think that his dream move to Real Madrid is the one that everyone's waiting for, and it just needs Real to start making a move and start talking money. But I just can't see Hazard being there next season. I think he's served his time at Chelsea.
He does. It's a good point, Mark. If they get in the Champions League, that will help them. But I think ultimately, if Real Madrid come along, then it's going to turn your head. The question is they'll have more irons in the fire than just Eden Hazard. You know what I mean? They might just sit tight till the summer. There's other players out there. There's Mbappe. There's Neymar. There are other players that they would want to sign. The downside, again, you know, if that does happen and Hazard does stay at Chelsea and he's been very good for them and then for him, is that only leaves one position, really, for Christian Pulisic to get into, because, you know, Eden Hazard will play wide. He won't play through the middle next year because Chelsea will buy a striker. They will. I mean, 100%. They will go out in the summer or in this January, probably the summer, and they will buy a frontline top-notch striker. So, you know, that means for young Pulisic that it could be even more difficult than it is if Hazard doesn't go to Madrid.